What's up, guys, and welcome back to our reaction of Dumbest Liberal Gun Quotes Part 5. I know on here it says it's Part 2 of Gun Control Protesters Gone Wild and saying some very dumb things. This is actually Part 5 in Mr. Burgundy's YouTube series on this. So just so clarification there. I do anticipate having to edit out some of the fillers that Mr. Burgundy put into this video just to cut down on time. And because the fillers, they really don't do anything other than make us laugh. But anyways, we're going to get right on into it. We're going to do our reaction here. And it's not, like I said in the last video, it's not just liberals. There's a lot of Republicans who don't know anything about guns and say stupid things about firearms as well. So without further ado, let's start this video.
1 round per pull of the trigger. It's like the standard like handgun and everything.
No, not quite.
It is.
Yes, very much. That's what semi-automatic means. It means that 1 round comes out with every pull of the trigger, every squeeze of the trigger, or as I like to train people, every push of the trigger. Yeah. Know the difference, guys. If you're going to make an argument against semi-automatic weapons, at least understand that semi-automatic and automatic are two very different things, and they function two very different ways.
I'm in favor of banning all guns.
All guns, okay. They buy back where they want in each house and confiscated.
I'm not sure what the other laws are around the world, but there's 2 Jeeps on Mars, people. You think we could get it together?
What does 2 Jeeps on Mars have to do with the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms? Such a stupid thing to say.
There's actually more knife deaths than there are rifle deaths in America on a yearly basis. Almost 5 times more.
AR-15 made for hunting humans. No, it wasn't. The AR-15 was originally made as a sporting rifle for civilians. That was the whole purpose behind it. It wasn't even made for self-defense. It was made for sport. It was made for target shooting. So this is just another example of somebody who has no clue what they're talking about.
Compared to rifles. So yeah, I agree.
Where did you get that number?
CDC, I believe.
That is total bullshit.
It's not just the CDC that has come up with those numbers. It's also the FBI database, which you can look up online. Yes, more people have been killed by knives and bludgeoned objects than with guns on a yearly basis. There's just so many other weapons that are used. If you combine them all, they kill more people than guns do.
I think it's FBI. It's either CDC or FBI, but yeah, 5 times more people are killed by knives every year than rifles.
Yeah,
what he's talking about there, that depends on the year. It does fluctuate. If we're going to be completely honest, it does fluctuate. And it also depends if we're talking about in the U.S. only or if we're talking about the world. If we're talking about the world, then yes, knives definitely kill 5 times more people than firearms do. If we're talking about the United States, I believe that is vice versa. I believe that firearms are the #1 killer over knives. Something to look up if you have the mind to.
I don't believe a word of that.
Let's see, 2018 crime in the United States. That is the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We can see that right up in here. Weapons, total firearms. See, this is where they messed up. 7,803 in 2014, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, back down to 10,000. And then knives, cutting instruments. So 1,500, way less than 7,000. 1,500 again, way less than 9,000. 1,500 again, way less than 10. 1,600 from what it looks like. I've got crap here in the way. Versus 11,000, and then 1,500 again versus 10,000. So that's not true. However, if he's talking about rifles, that is very true. And I think that's what he's trying to get across there is rifles are way, way less by almost a fifth. So yeah, 5 times less than knives. So yeah, I mean, depending on which stat you're going after, it's either true or false. It's true if you're strictly counting rifles. It's true if you're strictly counting shotguns. It's true if you're strictly counting other guns, which I don't know what other guns are outside of shotguns, rifles, and handguns, but whatever. As you can see here, handguns definitely count for the vast majority of what is this gun crime in the United States, which that just goes to show why are we trying to ban AR-15 platform firearms when handguns are the ones doing all the damage. The most we can expect by banning the AR-15 platforms is that these numbers go down. But if these numbers go down, it's pretty much guaranteed that these numbers will go up. We've seen that in London. So continue on.
Imagine when the Second Amendment was written, it's about self-defense. It's about these people who had militias who needed to defend themselves, and they only had like muskets. So imagine you're in the early 1700s.
Late 1700s.
Yeah, it was the late 1700s. We fought the War for Independence in the 1770s. So not the early 1700s. And to kind of piggyback on what she's kind of alluding to, but she didn't flat out say, and it's a common thing that anti-gun people are always talking about as well, the founding fathers could never have imagined that we'd have the firepower that we have today. Therefore, the Second Amendment only applies to muskets. Well, if that's true, then that means we need to ban all forms of social media. It means we need to ban cell phones. It means we need to ban our postal service as we know it. It means we have to ban video cameras. It means we have to ban the news as we know it. It means we have to ban TV. It means we have to ban all this stuff because the First Amendment would be the same way. The founding fathers would never have anticipated being able to pick up a phone. They didn't even know what a phone was. But to be able to pick up a phone that you can carry in your pocket and call anybody in the world at any time and have an instant conversation, the founding fathers did not know that this technology would exist. Therefore, the First Amendment would say that we'd have to ban phones if we're going to ban guns because we only had muskets back at the time that 2A was written. So, yeah, complete, utter bullshit argument. It doesn't hold any water.
Why do my ovaries have more restrictions on them than a gun?
Well, your ovaries don't have more restrictions on them than a gun. You can do whatever you want with your ovaries. You can have your tubes tied. You can choose not to have your tubes tied. What she's talking about is abortion, and that's a completely different subject. And really, there's nothing that says you cannot have an abortion. There have been made attempts, but there's really no law, with the exception of some cities and some states, that regulate abortion more closely, but none of them have flat out banned it. As far as I know, I could be wrong on that.
Self-defense is not an option.
Self-defense is not an option. Really? The Constitution says otherwise.
Trying to kill you. They just have to kill me.
You know, right now,
If somebody tries to kill you, well, then they'll just have to kill me. That's such a defeatist attitude. That attitude is not what made America. Understand, guys, that America was founded and we gained our freedom because we did not have a defeatist attitude. We told the Britons to go fuck themselves. And we killed a lot of them to do it. And that's one of the reasons why we have the Second Amendment as well. We have the right to defend ourselves and our personal property from damage and theft. and we have the right, the personal right to self-defense for our own persons and for anybody else. If we see somebody else getting beat to death, we are allowed to intervene and stop that person from doing so. That woman, she has no clue what she's talking about.
Some gun stores submit gun sales record in like literally toilet paper.
We had an assault weapon.
What? I never heard that. Don't know where he's getting that information from, but that's something I've definitely not heard.
Weapons ban.
Yeah, and we canceled it out, right?
But while that ban was in place, we had the Columbine massacre.
That's right.
So not only do we have the Columbine massacre, which happened in my home state of Colorado, during that 10-year ban, and I know I've talked about this in previous videos, so I'll be brief. The 10 years before the assault weapons ban saw less firearm crime and one less mass shooting than the 10 years of the assault weapons ban. So, no, the assault weapons ban didn't work. I know people like to say, well, there was less than the 10 years after, and that's true. But that's not how you measure if something worked or something did not work. In this case, the ban was put into place because of all the firearm-related crimes in the 10 years prior to the ban. So they said, okay, well, we're just going to ban certain types of firearms, and that'll cause the firearm crimes to go down. That's not what happened. They didn't go down. They actually increased, which means the firearm ban was completely a waste of time. It didn't work, period.
And these magazines that shoot rapid fire.
The magazines don't shoot rapid fire. The firearms do, and the person with the firearm can shoot rapid fire depending on their personal skill level.
Magazines don't shoot. They hold. It's like a capacity.
Whatever that thing is that shoots on the crowd.
Yeah, so she was just proven wrong. This guy told her magazines don't actually shoot. It's all they do is hold the ammo. And she got caught. She knew she got caught. If you paid attention to that, she knew she got caught, and she's like, well, whatever. And that's another thing that anti-gun people like to do is when you hit them up with facts that they can't deny, all of a sudden they just dismiss it altogether. They just dismiss it because your point's completely invalid, even though it's 100% true. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to try to argue it, so they're just going to try to dismiss it. Don't let them do that, guys. Do not let these anti-gun people just dismiss cold, hard facts.
There's the dumbass.
Here today to stand up for our children who are being killed by the fact that we don't have a policy that...
Let's take a look at our sign right quick. NRA kills kids. The NRA doesn't kill kids at all. The NRA doesn't do anything like that. The NRA doesn't even sell guns, for crying out loud. The National Rifle Association, all they do is train and educate. Well, I shouldn't say that's all they do. They train, they educate, and they advocate. Those are the three things that they do. No member of the NRA has been, how do I say it? No NRA member has been charged with an unlawful shooting. No NRA member has taken part in a mass shooting. No NRA member has been a part of a crime involving a firearm.
stops guns from getting into the hands of everybody. We don't need machine guns to be sold to 16-year-olds.
Yeah, where is a 16-year-old getting a machine gun? Who's selling a 16-year-old a machine gun?
Where are we selling machine guns to 16-year-olds?
All over the U.S.
No.
The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a student with a poster. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I were to take a shot at that student with a poster, that round, even if it was a .22, would go right through that poster and right into his eye. It's not going to stop anything.
That stops a bad guy with a gun is a student with a poster.
And the last one that they're looking at is that some special tool that you can get through the gun show loophole that allows you to fire a black powder rifle.
Yeah.
A black powder rifle.
Yeah.
Okay, that's normally 1 or 2 times a minute to somewhere around 10 times a minute. Is that something you would also consider banning?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let's ban something that you can only fire 10 times a minute. She has no clue what she's talking about. She doesn't know what a black powder firearm is. She made the motion of the Gatling gun. Yeah, not very bright.
We are so screwed.
You want to get rid of guns altogether?
Absolutely.
Aft fear has no place in our schools. What? I guess that's just the poster board. She doesn't know how to cover up the manufacturer's logo. Fear has no place in our schools. NRA equals terrorists. Well, what's funny is I think more students are afraid of being bullied than they are of guns being in their school. And the NRA is definitely not in schools. So I don't know what she's trying to get there. The NRA does not go to schools unless they're specifically invited, and even then, it would probably only be colleges.
Absolutely do. And
How do we do that?
Laws.
They need to make a law to like force people to turn in their guns. Is that what?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my opinion.
Well, your opinion's stupid. Just to put it out there, guys, we have over 30,000 laws in the country of the United States that regulate firearms. Yet we still have this problem with shootings. The problem isn't how many laws we have. Well, it is. The problem is definitely we have too many laws. The biggest problem is we can't enforce the laws already on the books.
We'll do that though.
No.
So how is that realistic?
Imagine.
So in other words, it's not realistic. I'm glad she can at least admit it, even if she didn't say it outright.
I think the first step is just kind of making it. I guess the first step is just kind of making it harder for anyone to. I don't know.
So why are we out here today?
To.
If you accept money from the NRA, their blood is on your hands. Well, the NRA doesn't have any blood. As I said before, they're only there to educate, train, and advocate. The NRA isn't doing anything wrong. As a matter of fact, they're the oldest civil rights group in the United States that's still active today.
And sorry, I'm really bad at this.
You can get all of these weapons without practically even showing an ID, without practically even showing any background.
That's absolutely false. If you're going to buy a gun legally in the United States, you have to, 1, prove that you are who you are with a photo ID, and 2, you have to take a federal background check. They're going to run a federal background check on you. If that's the law, it's going to happen. No FFL is going to risk their license not doing that. It's just not going to happen.
No, you can't.
Okay, and M16s are not. You realize M16
An AR-15.
An AR-15.
It's
okay.
the same damn gun.
So
An M16 is not the same gun as an AR-15. Very, very different platforms. Another idiot who has no clue what they're talking about.
So do you realize that a Ruger 5.56 is the same exact gun, but it's not black, and it's not high capacity.
Not as fast, and its projectiles aren't as accurate, and they're not as fast.
They're not as accurate and they're not as fast. So I'll tell you guys right now, every single firearm that has rifling in the barrel is accurate as all hell. There's no such thing as an inaccurate modern firearm. Now, if you go back to muskets where they're smoothbore, they are inaccurate. But since the invention of rifling, all firearms are deadly accurate. The things that throw off the accuracy when shooting is the shooter themselves. Everything from your breathing, your heartbeat, your grip, your stance, the humidity, the barometric pressure, wind, the Coriolis effect, all this stuff can throw off a shot. Even your heartbeat can throw your shot off depending on what size caliber you're shooting. The interviewer said that, it's a 5.56 round, and that old man said, well, the AR-15 shoots faster. No, it doesn't. The cyclic rate is roughly the same, and the projectile is not coming out of the muzzle any faster on an AR-15 than on an M16. Velocity is determined by muzzle length and determined by the grainage of the ammunition that you're using. So again, it's a guy who has no clue what he's talking about. All right, guys, I edited out that last one. It showed a topless woman. Her boobies were blurred, but I'm going to just edit that thing out altogether. Basically, all she said was boobs for guns.
Some places, like in Great Britain, they've even stopped police officers from having guns. Should we think about doing that?
Stop them. They have never had them, ever.
They never had.
Yeah. Britain, the police officers did have firearms, and so did the citizenry. Even today, some citizens are allowed to carry firearms, but it's very, very, very heavily regulated, and it's usually only citizens who are part of their Olympic team for shooting. There are exceptions to that rule, so don't blow me up on that. There are exceptions to that rule. I just wanted to make that point. Let's carry on.
They have never had them.
Do you think that's a good idea in this country?
Great idea, great idea, great idea, great idea.
But
yeah, it's a great idea, except we used our firearms in order to defeat the British, and we used our firearms to make you, the African woman, free. And we used those firearms against our own people to ensure that black people had freedom. Yeah, but we should never have firearms. So this one was basically saying she wants to be a slave again. That's awesome.
I just want to clarify. You would, in your perfect America, the cops wouldn't have guns.
No, I didn't say in my perfect America, because this is
But you think that's a good idea?
This is a crazy, violent country, okay? So no, I do not think you should take away the guns from police in America. And I never
But she did just say that.
said that. I never said that. I never said that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
People shouldn't be able to buy semi-automatic and automatic weapons. What are those used for besides killing?
Whether the gun shoots at a slower or faster.
What are they used for besides killing? Well, we have an entire series of sports in the Olympics that involve shooting that don't involve killing. Biathlon for winter, and then we have 3P, which is three position, prone, kneeling, standing in the Olympics. We have rapid fire, which is handgun shooting. We have air rifle shooting in the Olympics. We have archery as well, since, technically archery is utilizing a firearm. Sport, for one, is what we can use for what guns are used other than killing.
Rate, it's still shooting really fast, and there's no reason to increase the speed of the bullet coming out of the gun.
If I wanted to legally go buy a fully automatic rifle right now, where would I go?
Anywhere. Internet, yeah.
That you
No, you're not going to find an automatic rifle on the internet unless it's a collector's item, and you're not going to be able to buy it without going through some extensive crap.
Can fire way more rounds with an assault weapon than you can with a handgun.
How so? They're the same technology. They're both semi-automatic.
Last week our school had a lockdown drill. It's a preschool. So, what's wrong with preparing preschoolers for an awful event?
But you can add the magazine clips to the assault rifle.
You cannot add a magazine clip to an assault rifle. It won't fit.
So what I'm asking is basically, if you feel like you're being attacked, if you feel like somebody is putting your life in danger, you should be able to use a weapon to protect yourself, right?
No.
No.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
Do people use guns
I'm not going to say anything else because that little filler about covered it.
to defend themselves in their home?
I suppose they do.
How often do you think that happens?
Probably a lot.
So you're not saying we should take away their guns?
I'm saying that if semi-automatic weapons are not necessary to defend your house.
What if the criminal has semi-automatic weapons?
well, then you're fucked. You know.
Was that first?
Well, at least he's honest in his stupidity. That's all I'm going to say with that. At least he's honest in his stupidity.
It's designed. It is identical to an M16.
I mean, if I'm walking,
absolutely not. We already covered that.
through a bad neighborhood and somebody sticks me up with a gun, then I shouldn't be able to.
Why
shoot
are
back.
you in the bad neighborhood?
Well, not everybody can afford to live in a good neighborhood. That's why he's in a bad neighborhood. How about that? We can start with that. How about the road's closed, or the roads got tore up or something like that, and he has to take a detour through a bad neighborhood? How about that? That's a perfectly good reason. How about he's in a place that he doesn't know, and he got lost and ended up in a bad part of town? There's another reason why he's in a bad neighborhood. Come on. Can we at least be genuine with our counter arguments? That's one of my biggest issues with the anti-gun people, is there's no genuineness in the things that they say.
I've seen a shift from the NRA being focused on hunting, which my dad does and I've done, to just selling more guns.
Yeah. No, you haven't. The NRA doesn't sell guns at all. None at all. They
more guns. Well, the NRA doesn't sell guns.
It's easier to get a gun in a black neighborhood than it is to get in another neighborhood, right?
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
Why they have that? They want the crime to stay up in that neighborhood, or what?
Who's they?
The government.
The government wants more guns in the hands of black communities?
I think so.
She should probably stop thinking, because thinking isn't very proactive for her.
They're off with a 20 gauge and four pump action 20 gauge and 4 or 5 rounds. So any self-respecting criminal, as soon as he hears that pump go, he's going to run like hell.
Self-respecting criminal. There's no such thing as a self-respecting criminal.
But then any self-respecting criminal is not going to obey magazine limitations and gun laws.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does matter. It absolutely matters. And that's another issue that the anti-gun people say, is that it doesn't matter. If you take the guns from the lawful gun owners, then the criminals are going to follow suit. And that's not true. Criminals do not follow the laws. That's why they're criminals. You can't ban something here in the United States and expect everybody to abide by that ban. It's not going to happen. Prohibition is a prime example. If you want a modern day example, look at drug use. Fentanyl's illegal. Methamphetamine's illegal. In many states, marijuana use is illegal, yet people still do all of those. Driving drunk is illegal, yet people still do it.
Honestly, they're not in there to kill you. They're in there to get your jewelry. And
necessarily, he's being very, very generalized right now. There are some burglars who, they don't want to take a life because they know that they're going to end up in prison for life. So they want you to comply with their demands. They want you to hand over whatever it is you got, your cash, your car, your TV, whatever. They just want you to hand it over. However, there have been instances, and you can look this up, where the victim said, no, I'm not going to let you do that. And the criminal said, you know what, I'm going to take it anyways, and if that means I got to kill you, then so be it. And boom, they kill the victim.
Your money, and if they hear your arm, they're gone.
Criminals aren't...
No. If they hear you're armed, that doesn't mean they're gone. That's why we have so many shootouts with police. That's why so many burglars come into a bank where they know there's an armed security guard and try to rob the bank. You having a firearm doesn't persuade the bad guy from not trying to use his against you. It's just a matter of who's a better shot and who's quicker to realize what's happening.
We have a military presence. I mean, that is the one.
How many deaths will it take till we know that too many people have died? That's a very subjective question. It depends on the person. It depends how they died as well. But anyways, let's continue on.
The reason we don't need our amendment number 2 anymore, because it was initially put into place because we did not have a standing militia.
She must have dementia because that's exactly what we had. As I said before in another video, you were automatically considered to be in the militia, in the standing militia, if you were an able-bodied male over the age of 18.
But there's a lot of mothers, right, that maybe don't have a husband, maybe a lot of girls that have used guns to protect themselves.
I got a pit bull. Go to the shelter.
So
you got a pit bull. That's nice. A pit bull's not going to stand up to my 40 cal. So let's move on. This woman's got Sandy Hook, 2012, Columbine, 1999. The year I graduated from high school. I was actually at Columbine when that happened. Well, not when it happened. We had just left Columbine High School. We were there for a competition, a music competition. We had just left when that shooting happened. We heard about it when we got back to school. But anyways, let's move on.
why are we out here today?
Our lives and the lives of our children.
And what are we trying to achieve?
I want to say no, never again have a gun. I'm sorry, I'm being inarticulate right now.
Like, what kind of gun control would you like to see specifically?
Right now, assault weapon ban, 21 for guns, no more.
What's funny is she said assault weapon ban, yet Sandy Hook and Columbine happened during the assault weapons ban. Wait, is that right? 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. Yeah. The assault weapons ban, only 5 years, halfway through the assault weapons ban, Sandy Hook happened. 2 years after the assault weapons ban, Columbine happened.
High capacity tax and tax bullets to hell. Columbine,
Tax bullets to hell. We have this thing, we fought the British over it, called taxation without representation. You can't tax bullets without representing the people you're taxing. So, sorry, that's not going to work either.
I've always, the thing is, I think if the assault weapon ban had been in effect then.
It was in effect then.
Oh, it was?
You feel like that?
I just said it. The assault weapons ban was in effect when Sandy Hook and Columbine happened, and she didn't even know that, yet she stated that we needed an assault weapons ban. So you can almost see the light turn on in her head where she goes, oh shit, what am I talking about? That's classic. I absolutely love it.
It would be constitutional, though, to specifically tax bullets in order to dissuade people from buying them.
Yes, it's not. I'm not sure, but I don't think that falls under the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, to my understanding, was a right to bear arms only when there was the situation calls for it, as in.
No. I'm tired of listening to her stutter. The Second Amendment says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It doesn't say when they're allowed to keep and bear arms. It says that we are allowed to, which means we're allowed to at all times and at any times, regardless of the situation. When we may use them, that's different.
A militia-like situation. You can't take guns when they are part of the militia, but in any other
Well, we're all technically part of the militia, so you still can't take our guns.
circumstance, they can be taken, and bullet prohibition, bullets.
Bullet prohibition. We already talked about prohibition when it comes to alcohol. What's stopping me or anybody else from creating our own bullets?
Hey.
I don't understand the words you just said.
But a bump stock you can get online and get shipped to you just like the Amazon Prime of firearms.
No. Yes and no. Before the Las Vegas shooting, you could go to a gun store. You could buy a bump stock. If you knew how to install it, you can install it. However, generally, most people just take it to a gunsmith because there are certain things that need to be done with a bump stock. You could order them online from select stores. and do the same thing, either take it to a gunsmith or install it yourself. However, President Trump banned bump stocks. So that's not a thing anymore. I'm not sure when this video or when this clip in particular was recorded, but that's something you can't do anymore.
How many times have they been used in, mass shootings, for
Once. Just once.
example?
Well, there was the Las Vegas shooting.
That's about it.
That's about
You
it.
can't have a rifle bigger than this and have anything left of the deer.
Apparently this guy has never been hunting. Yes, you can. What does this jackass think they used back in the old Western days to hunt? They used 30-30s. I mean, the 30-30 round is way bigger than the 223 5.56 of the AR-15 platform. And they used them almost exclusively to do hunting for deer, buffalo, really anything that they could that wasn't too small, like birds and rabbits. But yeah, this guy has never been hunting before in his life. A well-placed 30-30 shot into the lungs and heart of a deer, you're not going to have any issues. There's going to be plenty of meat. Pretty much the whole deer is going to be intact. So there's going to be a hole about the size of a nickel at most through that deer that you're not going to be able to use. This guy he's never shot a deer before. It's quite obvious.
Maybe if you're hunting elephants, but I don't believe in hunting elephants.
If you're hunting elephants, you're not going to use an AR-15, nor are you going to use a 30-30. You're going to use an elephant gun because that's what it was made to do.
Do you?
And you can't get the semi-automatic ammunition here in California, so.
Yep. Yes, you can. Still to this day, you can get semi-automatic ammunition in California. Everything from 22s all the way up to 50 cals you can buy in California. California just has stricter rules in order to purchase some types of ammunition, some calibers.
What's semi-automatic ammunition?
The large magazines.
A magazine is not ammunition. Again, somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, and this is why people who don't know what they're talking about shouldn't be talking.
Tried to shoot something with
So why do you have a gun in your house?
You don't miss.
So why do you have
Have you ever tried to shoot something with an AR-15 you don't miss? I will call bullshit on that all day, every day. That woman has clearly not fired an AR-15 or any AR-15 platform-styled rifle. Yeah, people miss all the time. I've seen it out on the range. I've seen it in the military. There's just so many variables that determine whether or not you hit or miss a target that the weapon itself doesn't matter. I've seen people miss with an AT-4 rocket launcher. I've seen people miss with the 203 grenade launcher. Yeah, it's quite possible to miss with an AR-15.
Here in California, what I believe is to export our values to the rest of the country. You kidding me?
Export Californian values to the rest of the country. I would kill myself first before I accepted Californian values.
I think the Second Amendment absolutely needs to be updated. It was written at a time where, when we had muskets. It's 28.
Yep, and the First Amendment was written at a time where we had quill and parchment paper. So what's your point?
It's a really old amendment. Times change.
Yeah. I don't think we should have the Second Amendment. AR-15.
I don't think we should have the Second Amendment, which is funny because he probably believes that we should have all the other amendments, but every other single amendment and the Constitution itself is protected by the Second Amendment.
That's something that shares almost an identical structure to the M16 and the M4.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the same function as it. Isn't that pretty important?
It's missing two functions, which is burst fire and fully automatic.
That's a pretty big...
Yeah, that's a pretty big difference. I think I talked about it in number 4, where you were looking at the difference between an assault rifle and a semi-automatic rifle, or an automatic rifle and a semi-automatic rifle. In an automatic rifle, you're going to have different selections. You're going to have safe, you're going to have semi, you may or may not have 3-round bursts depending on what type of firearm it is, and you'll have auto. That's what it says on the rifle. It says safe, semi, 3-round, maybe 3-round depending on whether or not that it can do it, and it'll say auto.
Yes. I would rather give up my freedom to make sure that every single goddamn American child, including myself, is happy.
If you're not happy, that's because you haven't made yourself happy. Happy is a personal thing. If you're not happy, it's because of something that you're doing or thinking. It has nothing to do with other people. Some people say, well, you make me so upset. Well, why does that person make you upset? It comes down to how you react to what that person says or does.
You know what I want me to do? I'm fine keeping the Second Amendment. I'm fine with that. But I'm not fine with the fact that guns are so easily accessible. I'm saying make gun restrictions a goddamn thing.
I would
make gun restrictions a goddamn thing. Well, they are. They already are. Like I said, we have over 30,000 laws when it comes to that restrict the lawful sale of firearms and firearm components. Yeah.
Say anything that has a magazine more than even 6 bullets, I don't think is necessary.
Well, I mean, that's like pretty much all handguns, right?
Yes, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I just want everybody to go back to the Dirty Harry style revolvers. That was really a good way of doing things. Let's just go back to the Wild West, you know. Well, everybody just carry a 6-shooter. Why not?
Be constitutional though, given like the Supreme Court decision.
I don't really care.
I don't really care about what the Supreme Court says. That's another deflection. He realized at that point in time that he was wrong, so he had no excuse, no counter argument. So I don't really care. It's the same as saying whatever.
Taking people's guns away is a solution.
You Jesus Christ!
Gun ownership in this country only is allowed to be responsible or whatever when it serves the power structure.
When it serves the power structure. Believe it or not, he is absolutely correct. He is 100% correct. The power structure in the United States lies within the general populace of the United States. It lies within each and every single United States citizen. We are the power structure. We have the ability to change this country for good or bad. We don't do it because we want our politicians to handle it.
Do you know how we rank against other countries as
Yes,
far
I
as
do.
gun deaths?
Yes, I do.
Where are we at?
Yes, I do. We are 5 times as high as the next one down the line.
So in other words, you have no clue. The United States is actually ranked pretty damn low when it comes to gun violence worldwide. We do have a large number. We absolutely have a large number, but it's not nearly as bad as what the anti-gun people want to claim it is compared to the rest of the world.
Except for Russia. Russia is higher.
I believe Russia's lower, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, what do we have here? We're ranked 20th. El Salvador, Venezuela, Guatemala, Colombia, Greenland, Honduras, Virgin Islands, Brazil, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Afghanistan, Belize, the Bahamas, Trinidad and Tobago, Mexico, Panama, Paraguay, Guyana, Dominican Republic. Yeah, Russia's not even on there. Russia's not above us. Russia's actually below us. So yeah. All right, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be it for this. Yeah. This was an interesting one. Definitely more political than the last one. I didn't think it was going to get that way, but it definitely did. But this really does highlight the ignorance of the anti-gun people in the United States. They just have no clue what they're talking about. And I know there's a lot of people overseas as well that have no clue what they're talking about, who try to get involved in our politics when it comes to gun lobbying and things like that. And really, it just needs to stop. If you don't know what you're talking about, then just stop talking. Go learn about the topic and then come back with an educated voice. Because if you're educated and you speak fact, then you cannot be disputed. Plain and simple. And we've seen it here. We've seen it in this own video. People go, oh shit, he's 100% right, I'm wrong. Abort, 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 whatever. And that's what they do. They know that they're wrong. So you cannot be disputed if you speak with facts. And it has to be verifiable facts. It can't be this made up crap that a lot of people throw out there because that could be proven wrong. So if you're anti-gun, by all means, please continue educating yourself. You've taken the first step by watching my reactions to this. And I do appreciate that you're taking that step to educate yourself. Continue down that road. Please, continue down that road. Those of us who are pro-gun, we are more than open to good, honest discussion on how to fix the gun problem here in the United States. The problem that we have is we're talking to people who don't know what they're talking about. So it's impossible to come up with a solution. It's absolutely impossible. And those of you who are anti-gun, you don't want to hear what the pro-gun people have to say. You don't want to hear what we have to say. And, I mean, together, I have no doubt in my mind that we can come up with the perfect, rewind. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that together we can come up with the perfect solution to fixing gun problems, with fixing the gun problem here in the United States. It's not going to be an overnight thing. We're going to have to work towards it. But I believe that we can come up with a solution. I'll leave it at that, guys. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. If I've earned it, hit that like and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you go over to Mr. Burgundy's channel. Check him out. Check out Kentucky Ballistics as well for the elephant gun stuff. And as always, be safe, be cool, have fun. We'll catch you next time.